Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Random Thoughts and Views with Jan. In this week's episode, I'm going to take a look at today's new media, a term often used to describe creators who host online gossip and entertainment platforms, specifically on YouTube and Instagram, where they commentate on events happening in popular culture in real time and openly speculate. A number of these new media types were highlighted last year during the trial of Tory Lanez, real name Daystar Peterson. Peterson was on trial for shooting rapper Megan Thee Stallion, real name Megan Pete, in the summer of 2020. Here is a quick recap. On August 20th, 2020, Megan Thee Stallion claimed that Tory Lanez was the gunman who shot her in the foot following a July 12, 2020 pool party at Kylie Jenner's house, the first time she publicly identified him or anyone as her shooter. In an Instagram Live video, Megan alleged that Lanez's publicist was intentionally attempting to spread false information about the shooting, for which she was hospitalized and underwent surgery. While Lanez was arrested on a charge of carrying a concealed weapon in a vehicle, he was not arrested for allegedly shooting Megan. The Los Angeles Police Department reportedly had difficulties in finding witnesses who would help in their investigation. Some early reports even said that Megan's injuries resulted from broken glass, not a gunshot. In her video, Megan admitted that she didn't tell cops what happened, explaining she thought the LAPD was aggressive while recognising she should have been upfront immediately. On October 8th, 2020, there was a major development in the investigation. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office announced felony assault and gun charges against Lanez, owing to a separate incident with singer August Alsina. He awaited trial under house arrest starting October 28th. The trial began on December 5th, 2022, after the original September 14th start date was delayed due to Lanez's lawyer being preoccupied with a separate trial. Lanez was convicted and found guilty on December 23rd of all three charges over the 2020 shooting. A number of YouTubers and bloggers were granted media passes to cover the trial in December 2022. They included Lawyers for Workers, Milagro Grams, Armon Wiggins, and Dennis Byron. Lawyers for Workers is an Instagram personality who has built up a following over the years, covering and speculating on legal situations, the criminal kind, involving mainly black celebrities. The audience he attracts is predominantly black, and they basically hang on the speculative words of an employment lawyer, not a criminal lawyer. Milagro Grams is the creator and host of the popular YouTube show Mob Radio. Milagro has been a die-hard Tory Lanez supporter since the very beginning, shouting with her whole chest his innocence while throwing around disparaging remarks about the victim, Megan. Prior to the trial starting, Milagro, it seems, built up some sort of a close personal relationship with Lanez and his family. So close that she often refers to him as being her brother. Armon Wiggins, host of the Armon Wiggins Show, is a flamboyant and engaging personality who always believed that Tory was guilty. Dennis Byron is an older gentleman who describes himself as being a journalist. Dennis states the following on his social media profiles. 33 years in media with my work featured on some of your favourite websites and publications in America and abroad. Now, you would think that having been fortunate enough to have been granted media passes to cover the trial, that some would leave their online personas and antics away from a court of law. That they would recognise that this is no longer a case of entertaining your core audience on live streams. Common sense would surely tell you that a criminal trial is serious and your reporting of each day's events in court to a wider audience should be done in a professional, clear, concise, and unbiased manner. Well, as the trial progressed, it soon became apparent that they were not serious people. Dennis Byron was the first up on his Instagram page to post his report on the day's events inside the courthouse. Dennis, who considers himself old media, was long winded in his approach to sharing information, which was irritating. But when he did finally get to the parts that people wanted to hear, the facts, footage of him reporting outside of the courthouse was quickly shared and ended up on popular blogs like the Neighborhood Talk. The Neighborhood Talk posted footage of Dennis, but for some reason failed to credit him. They didn't bother telling their audience who he was. They should have at least credited him. But it wasn't the end of the world. However, Dennis decided that it would be a good idea to turn this slight into a major controversy. He quickly jumped on Instagram Live and threatened the blog with legal action for reusing his content without his permission, reusing without crediting him or payment. Dennis may refer to himself as being a journalist and old media, but he also has a tendency to want to dip his toe into the problematic end of the new media pool when he wants to generate interest in his platform. As the kids say these days, Dennis is a bit of a clout chaser at times. Anyway, after all his theatrics, the Neighbourhood Talk simply went to other outlets for news updates on a very public criminal trial. Lawyers for Workers saw a spike in his audience numbers and decided to start charging people to hear more of his opinions and thoughts on the trial. He would be later accused of being biased in favour of Tory, and it was also claimed that he was sat with Tory's family during the trial. Armon Wiggins' approach to covering the trial was unbiased, and he exercised a level of professionalism during the early stages of the trial. And last but not least, Milagro Grams. So, where do I begin? So, earlier I mentioned that Milagro is a huge Tory Lanez supporter. She has been covering this situation for at least like 2.5 years now, since it begun. She's used her platform to speculate on what happened. She's used her platform to verbally attack Megan Thee Stallion. She calls her a liar. She calls her a bitch. It just goes. It's went on and on and on. But let me first say that Milagro's platform, Mob Radio, YouTube show, is a really good show. She is well put together. I like how she live streams and she reports on the news a lot of the time as it's happening, as stories happen in real time. She'll switch to a story. Like how she does it is like really impressive. How she puts her show together is really impressive. And she's very funny. She's very engaging. She's from Houston, Texas. And she's just a larger than life character. So, but there were times where when she would speak on this situation with Tori and Megan, at times it was just a bit hard going and it bordered on online bullying because it got to a point where yeah, we get it, Milagro, you're a Tory stan, you believe him, you don't believe her, you believe that there's more to the story, you believe that Megan is lying, we get it. But can we just come off that for a bit? Let's just wait until the trial happens. Let's just wait for a verdict. Because all I can say is that Milagro was riding hard for this man. And at times I'd think, is he a friend? Like, what's going on here?